Episode 136. Create 3 months of social media content in just one day. Welcome to Gratitude Geek, the relationship marketing podcast, helping micropreneurs find your micro influencer magic. I'm your host, Candice Rodardi, and this week I'm joined by social media maven Hannah Acosta. Hannah is the passionate and purposeful leader of the social media department at Ugly Mug Marketing. Over the past 4 years, Hannah's grown her department by over 340%, working alongside hundreds of small business owners and entrepreneurs as they navigate the ever-changing digital marketing landscape. After launching more than 4,000 social media campaigns, Hannah has a front row seat to the challenges and rewards faced by marketers today. From private clients to social media masterclasses, Hannah brings her expertise and energy to teach clients how to use social media to scale their business, generate leads, and achieve results. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have this conversation. Digital marketing has changed. I've been doing it since 1999. And let me tell you, it's changed since 1999. And it's not, it wasn't even called digital marketing back then.
Yeah, right?
So let's before we dig, I have so many questions for you, but before we dig into that, please share your unique story. How did you get to where you are today?
Yes, I feel like my story really starts with my parents and how they grew up and how they chose to raise my brother and I. I really grew up with the belief that you can be whoever, whatever you want to be, that circumstances are only permanent if you let them be permanent, right? So many people say, oh, but this happened in my life, or this was my financial situation. I believe those things are temporary and that we can really overcome whatever those circumstances may be. So, my dad is actually from Ponchatoula, Louisiana, grew up in a family that didn't have a whole lot. My mother is from rural Arkansas and lived a fairly modest life with some hardships, but even in the midst of the messiness and the chaos of life, they raised my brother and I and gave us the best opportunities that we could possibly have. One of them was moving us from the South to Michigan and really planting us in a community that allowed us to flourish with tons of opportunities to play sports and to go to college. And so from there, my life really just evolved, right? I was planted in that great community, had the opportunity to really grow in my faith and to go to Aquinas College in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which was really a life-changing experience for me and really helped me catapult into digital marketing. I started working for the Van Andel Institute as a event coordinator and fundraiser and really honed in on some marketing and event planning skills, and then landed in Louisiana thanks to my husband who was in the Army. And so we have now planted our feet in Raleigh, North Carolina. I continued to grow. And as you mentioned in my bio, grown the social media department at Ugly Mug. I've learned so much from the entrepreneurs and small business owners that I get to work with every day. And I'm still learning, right? But I've made a lot of mistakes in the midst of that too. And I'm really excited to share with everyone today how to generate or create those 3 months of content in just one day.
Oh, this is going to be fun. So there's a little bit of parallel in our stories. I'm from California originally. My father worked for the Department of the Army. I moved to Texas for a job in 96 or so. Met my husband. We got married. He was from Michigan originally. 20 years later, we moved to Michigan, and I live just up the road from where you grew up.
Such a small world. I
So
love it.
I want to just backtrack a little bit because a lot of people don't know who the Van Andels are. Do you want to dig into that? Because the Van Andels really are an integral part of the Grand Rapids story, but they're also an integral part of network marketing. And a lot of folks that listen to this podcast are network marketers. So you want to touch on
Yeah.
who they are and what they
So the
do?
Van Andel, yeah. So the Van Andel and DeVos families, many, many years ago, came together and created what is now known as Amway. So Amway is based in Ada, Michigan, just outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And when, oh my gosh, I'm really quizzing myself on my Van Andel family history. But um, when the Van Andel father passed away, he was one of the founders of Amway. When he passed away, one of the things that he wanted to leave behind in his legacy was having this educational and science institute, a place where people could come together when it comes to research and development, particularly around cancer and Parkinson's. So these are two diseases that heavily impacted their families. And so they wanted to have a place for it to be able to be researched, to find new treatments, and to bring around some of the smartest people around these topics. So the Van Andel Institute came to be, and it is right on the Medical Mile, downtown Grand Rapids, and it is connected to the Michigan State Health and Sciences building. It's connected to the Spectrum Health campus as well, with DeVos Children's Hospital. And there are actually researchers that spend part of their time in these different buildings, but also have a lab in the Van Andel Institute. And so it was really cool just to kind of be around these game changer names and families in the Grand Rapids community. And what they're doing at Van Andel Institute is really remarkable. And because of the success that they've had with Amway too, enabled them to create this endowment so that whatever money was donated or that we raised for Van Andel Institute, 100% of those funds actually went to the cause. It wasn't going to administrative fees or keeping the lights on in the building or anything like that. It was actually going to the labs that were creating, new clinical trials. Like I remember working with Dr. Patrick Grohar. He is a pediatric oncologist, but also has a lab in the Institute. And I remember doing fundraisers with him because, fun fact, Dr. Grohar played D1 lacrosse. Like, how fun is that? And so we would partner with different lacrosse programs in Rockford and at Grand Rapids Christian to raise funds for cancer research. And he loved it because he would actually go and practice with the players. Like, it was just this really fun, like, community involvement. And the Van Andels are known for, Van Andel Arena and having their name on so many things, but they really are wonderful philanthropists in our community. And what they're doing at Van Andel Institute is amazing. And they've built a really remarkable team there.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's talk about this creating, because I have a feeling that we're going to spend the entire interview talking about this because it's such a good topic. But let's talk about how to create 3 months of content in just one day. So, do you want me to intro that, or do you just want to take over?
No, I can just jump right in.
Take over, and I'm going to listen because I'm going to learn too.
Great. So, how to create 3 months of content in one day. I know that micropreneurs, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs who maybe have small teams of maybe, 2 or 3 people, it's them and their spouse or them and a
Or
friend.
just them. Or
Or
just them.
just them, which is so many of the people that I do consulting with. They're like, hey, so TikTok is a thing, so Facebook's a thing, Instagram is a thing. How do I show up on all of these places? I'm just one person. I can't post 10 times a day like this company does, who's, 5 years ahead of the game from me. How do I even get started? So there are 3 components of creating this 3-month of content in just one day. Okay. So there's the planning, the creating, and then the actual implementation. So the planning consists of these content categories and creating this calendar template. The creating component consists of, the writing of the copy, the creating of the graphics or the videos, and then the last step is implementing. So what scheduling tools do I use so that I can set this all up, and then anything that I want to post in real time is just icing on the cake, right? Because I already know I have these 3 months of content planned out, and it's going to help me achieve my goals on social. So let's jump into the planning part first. My biggest tip for solopreneurs that are feeling overwhelmed by the need to post all the time on social media is that consistency creates miracles. You do not have to post 700 times a day like Joe Schmo down the road who has a business like yours, whether you have a coffee shop or you're starting as a consultant, whatever it may be. Just be consistent for your people. So step one of that.
Before we go on, it's about influence, and it's about micro influence, right? And Joe Schmo down the road, who's posting 700 times a day, he's repelling more people with his posts than he's attracting. So listen to Hannah because she's going to teach you how to attract.
Yes, and we're going to talk about what types of content attract people and repel people because that is very true. That is so true. I don't want to dive into that too much. We're going to put a pin in that and come back to it. So, as we're planning, step 1 is really setting your goal. So, how often do I want to post? How often is it realistic for me to post? Okay? Is it realistic for me to post as I'm just getting started month 1, one time a week? Or 2 times a week or 3 times a week. Like, think about what is truly realistic for you as the one individual who's the CEO, the marketer, the finance person, wearing all the hats. What is actually going to be realistic for you when it comes to posting and when it comes to actually investing in this day of creating content? Okay. Then step 2 is going to be brainstorming your categories. So, what is it that your business does? Do you have a product? Do you have a service that you're trying to promote? Um, and what falls in alignment with that product or service? What are some different categories that we could create? So, some generic ones that we have is, hey, what are some upcoming events that are happening over the course of the next 3 months in my business? Or is there a holiday that I want to particularly promote? For example, a couple of my favorite clients, you're not supposed to have favorite clients, but some of my favorite clients own a coffee shop and bakery.
You
These
can
women
have favorite clients.
I know you're not supposed to, because then you like give them special treatment. But I just love Bridget and Robin. Okay, Bridget was a librarian, she was a teacher, and Robin was in pharmaceutical sales, and they had this passion for baking cupcakes and making lattes and drinking coffee, right? And so they decided they were going to quit their daytime jobs and they were going to start selling cupcakes from, I think they did it from Bridget's Kitchen, is how they started. And now they have this company that's been in business for 10 years. One of their biggest holidays is Valentine's Day. So when we're looking at Q1 for them, it's Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day. We have a strategy that's intentionally thought out ahead of time around Valentine's Day. So be thinking about that. What's happening in this upcoming quarter that I want to create specials, or that my business really could sell a product or service that would serve people well for that particular holiday? Then be thinking about how can you relate to your customers. In order to do this, you really have to know who your target customer is. Now, when I start working with businesses, so often they say things like, oh, we serve everybody 18 to 65 and up. That's our target audience. I'm like, no, who are the people that are engaging with your content? Who are the people that are picking up the phone most often and actually calling and inquiring about your product or service? Or who are the people that are coming into your store or visiting your website? There's so many different ways for us to start tuning in and paying attention to, all right, who have I actually been attracting thus far? Because if you don't know who that person is, or you might have a couple of what I like to call customer avatars, you might say, okay, well, one of the larger demographics that I serve is, working moms. But another demographic that I serve is women who are retired. Like, we have to be able to craft messaging that speaks to these individuals so that it actually connects to them, so that they want to take action and they feel like they have a relationship with you, and that you know and understand what their life and their day to day and their challenges are, right? So, some examples of content that we can create around that is just selling our product or service with that specific messaging. We can do this or that post to learn a little bit more about our audience. So with Bridget and Robin, one fun thing that we did was, do you like iced coffee or hot coffee drinks better? What do you want to see more of on the menu? It's so funny. People are like, oh my gosh, iced coffee drinks all the way. Boo, hot coffee drinks, or whatever it may be. But then another way that we kind of relate to those customers too is we share a little bit about ourselves. So sharing those meet the team posts, or hey, meet me posts for the solopreneur, right? There's so much about you that is going to attract other customers, or that are going to help you attract your customers. Another category might be, how can I educate my audience? Can I give them a little bit of behind the scenes look of what I'm doing day to day? Can I create did you know posts? Because you need to position yourself as the expert in order to build trust. We can't just go out here and our only content category is sales, where we're constantly telling our people, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. That just doesn't work. That's the content that repels people away. We're not giving them anything of value. We're not trying to relate to them. We're not creating fun and engaging content. We're just asking them to buy our stuff without actually building a relationship with them first, right? And then that last category, but of course, is how are you going to sell to your audience? So you might utilize reviews or testimonials. You might have a here's how to use our product, or here's how to experience our services. So an example too is we work with a medical spa, and we're always promoting, hey, cool sculpting, hey, Botox, hey, whatever it may be. But if no one has ever had this before, it feels intimidating. So here's what it's going to be like when you drive up and you park it. Here's where you park when you get to our facility. Here's what it looks like when you walk in the door. Here's who's going to greet you. Here's what's going to happen in your initial consultation, making them feel more at ease. It's
You
all
know,
about.
I have a gazillion questions about cool sculpting, so I can see how that right there is at least 15 social media posts. Just
Oh,
answering the questions that people might have about how does cool sculpting work? What is it? How long does it last?
yeah.
So there's so much just by thinking, what would my customer want to know about this?
Yes,
You can
because
create
so
content.
often, yeah, so often we're like, we're looking at content from the lens of us as the business owner. We're not looking at it from the perspective of, okay, what do people actually want to see? And we overcomplicate it, right? It's like, if I didn't know anything about cool sculpting, what the heck are the questions that I might have, right? Or if I don't know anything about marketing, what are the questions that I would have? I can't even begin to dive into ads manager, because I don't even know how to create a Facebook page. So we have to start with those baby steps. And another really important part of these different categories that we're going to go through and kind of start jotting down, okay, I can create content around this topic or around this category, is understanding the natural progression. And the natural progression is the idea of taking someone from a stranger and turning them into a friend, and then converting them into a customer, which is where a lot of people think the relationship journey ends, right? Stranger, friend, customer, but then turning them into an evangelist. And an evangelist is someone who is going to leave you a review, refer you, tell all their friends and their neighbors and their grandmas and their aunts and uncles and cousins about how great your product or service was and how they should go and experience it too, or purchase it too, because it's life changing, right? So we want to create more evangelists. And really, all of this helps us do just that. It helps us create evangelists.
So
So
what's the difference between a super fan and an evangelist? I think I know the answer, but
Well, so my distinction would be like customer and evangelist. Like customer, they come to your restaurant, they dine in, they're having an expected experience, right? They're just there. Yeah, pizza was good, probably come back, whatever. An evangelist is someone who has had a remarkable experience. You have gone above and beyond. You have given them um, you have given them a unique experience, unlike another pizza place down the road, right? It's the difference between going to, I don't know, Pepino's and going to Pizza Hut, right? For those of you who are in the West Michigan area, it's the difference between that, okay? And so I think an evangelist is someone who has had that really great, wonderful experience, someone that you have gone above and beyond for, and that person who is going to go above and beyond then in return for you as well. In that they're going to give you a referral, they're going to suggest you to their friends and family.
so if you live in West Michigan, there's no need for you to ever buy a pizza from Pizza Hut because there's a lot of good pizza from independently owned places.
Yes, we love pepinos, we love fricanos, we love, come on, there's so
Oh,
many,
I'm not a fan of Fricano's. I don't like their pizza. It's boring.
it is boring, but it's like I can count on it. I know I'm going to go and it's going to be good. It's going to be a good slice. So once we've got those categories, and once we've determined, okay, our goal of how often we're going to post, then we say, okay, we're looking at the calendar now and we're saying, I'm posting on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. On Mondays, my theme is going to be Did You Know posts. So I'm going to create content around cool sculpting. Did you know this about cool sculpting? I'm going to educate them. Then on Wednesdays, I'm going to give them a behind the scenes look of just our business in general, day to day. hey, I'm going to jump on Instagram stories and give them a day in the life experience of what it is to be a cool sculpting expert. Right. And then maybe on Fridays, I'm going to start to introduce my team, or I'm going to highlight customers who have already trusted me. Right. Because people don't buy from you, they buy from other people that quote unquote look like them. So other people who are in the same season of life as them, other females, maybe other people who are also small business owners, other people who are stay-at-home moms. I mean, it could be anything. So let's highlight and utilize the people that we already have relationships with,
So,
and maybe we're going to share those people on Fridays.
so, a really important thing about creating a marketing plan in general is that you have an ideal client. So when you're focusing on those featured stories, it's probably not a great idea to highlight the 60-year-old man who just came and got a tummy tuck when your ideal client is the 35-year-old woman who runs marathons, right?
Totally. Totally. Yes, exactly. And here's a little like real life application too. So I have a client who, when we first started working with, they said that thing to me of, hey, 16 to 65 and up, those are our people. And I was like,
No, they're not.
no, you have people. So we did this thing and we narrowed it down. It's 35 to 55, which is still a little bit of a range, but these are the people who have the disposable income to be able to come, and they're going to spend the money, right? So they own a vehicle accessory business. It's called Glass Tint, etc. They do window tint and everything else that could fall under vehicle accessories, hence the etc. part of their name, right? So we post for them 3 times a week. And our different categories are recent work, because we want to highlight that social proof. We want to say, hey, here are other types of, if you drive Jeeps, here are other Jeeps that we've worked on. If you drive a truck, here are other trucks that we've worked on. Then we highlight a featured service. So this is where we're kind of selling to people, giving them a little educational information, but really trying to attract new clients. And then on Fridays, we do spotlight product. So is there a new product that's come onto the market? For example, they do a lot of custom work truck builds. So businesses that need, maybe an electrician business, where they need a bunch of trucks that are branded and have the toolboxes and the headache racks, and need a lift and different tires and a custom work truck bed. We do some educational information on, hey, here's this new product that CM Truck Beds just released, and here's who this truck bed is for and why you should get rid and ditch the truck bed that you currently have and get this new one.
This is brilliant. While you were talking, I immediately came up with a 3 week, 3 post a week plan for a network marketer. Right. On the first day, on Monday, you do a case study or a testimonial. And on Wednesday, shoot, a Wednesday would be like something about you, like a behind the scenes thing about you and why you chose to do what you're doing. And then on
Yeah.
Friday would be a product. Here's one
Yeah.
of my favorite products and here's why I like it,
Yeah.
or just facts. No, remember, when you're in network marketing, do not say things that aren't true or that would get you in trouble.
Yeah.
So here's this product, here's why I like it is okay, but here's this product and it will help you lose 100 pounds is not okay.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, you can do this strategy for a small business, for a solopreneur business, and you can do this strategy for a large business. This is brilliant. I love
Yeah.
it. And just
We
stay in the
do.
lane for that day. And then it makes it easy. I love
Yeah.
this. I love this plan.
It feels so much less intimidating, right? Because it's like, okay, this is what I post on Mondays. There's 4 Mondays this month. I only need 4 did you know posts, or I only need 4 product spotlights, or I only need 4 behind the scenes, types of content. It just like takes the pressure off, right? Because it's like, all right,
Well, and heck, that Wednesday post could be a picture of your kid or your cat.
hmm,
You know, you have a plan.
exactly.
You have a plan for Monday. You have a plan for Friday, and then on Wednesday you make one post about your life that's going on right now. I'm drinking this coffee today. My kid's going to school today, and then so you're really only having to do one organic post, and the other 8 posts that month are all scheduled and planned.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Exactly.
brilliant, and it doesn't take a lot of time.
Yes. Because, all right, in my 8-hour day that I'm doing this in, I'm spending, maybe an hour just plotting out this plan, and just like, this is your brainstorming time. Okay. Then we're going to take, we've got our calendar, we've mapped it out, we've circled the days we're posting on, we've written our themes. Now we actually say, okay, now I actually have to create the content, right? So we love just mapping out all of our content in a Google Doc. We don't have to get fancy with it. Anyone can, start with a Google Doc. So we actually have a Google Doc template that's a part of our work kit that we're going to share in the show notes of this episode. And there's a document where it's kind of already all outlined for you. So you just have to go in and change the dates. We have it up at the top where it says, here are your different categories that you've already selected. And you just go in and start writing for every single Monday of those
You're making it way too easy.
we love easy. Okay. We love easy. Let's make it simple. Okay. And then once we've written out all of our posts and our content, and again, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. You're getting in the mind of your customer. What do they want to hear about? What do they care about? And you know what? They don't want your salesy, cheesy copywriting. They want real, raw you, especially if you are someone who is in direct sales. It's all about the relationship. Okay. It is more about the relationship and them feeling connected to you than anything else. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, we've written all of our copy. This is probably going to take us like 2 hours. If we're writing out everything and we're writing, some maybe more informational content where we have to go and get some descriptions from online for our product or whatever it may be. Hey, or we're introducing our team and we need a bio from someone else. This is where we're kind of spending the bulk of our time, is actually writing the copy. Then we're going to jump into some fun stuff, which I really like. If you are creative and you love graphic design, this is going to be the fun part for you. So this is where we jump into Canva. If you've not heard of Canva, welcome to the conversation. Okay.
All right. I think everybody in this podcast has heard of Canva because we do Canva every Thursday at 11 o'clock, right?
Love. Okay. So you guys know what Canva is. Templates, easy to access, easy for you to look like a graphic designer, even if you are the most unqualified person to be a graphic designer, right? You can go in there and forget imposter syndrome. You've got this. You are now a graphic designer when you go into Canva. So I'm not even going to rant on that even more because it sounds like
the thing about Canva is that you take their template and then you make it your colors with one click, right? Because you set up your color. What is that called? Your branding, right? You've set up your branding, and the second click changes the fonts, and you just move things around a little bit, and it's yours.
And upload your logo in there, and come on. It's so easy. Yep. And there's so many great features that it's like, oh, this has this, this headshot of me. I want the background out of it. Well, there's just a button that you can click that says background remover. And it's so easy. We're not sending it to someone to edit in Photoshop, or we don't have to try and learn Photoshop. It's just easy.
And it works really well. I mean, there was a photobomb in a photo that I wanted to take out. And when I removed the background, it didn't take out the photobomb. But when I put the blur, like there's a feature where you can blur out the background. The photobomb was gone and it was just the picture of my friend and I that I wanted to use. So Canva has amazing features.
Yes. So then you've gone into Canva, right? You've made all your graphics to match up with every single day. Depending on who you are, how much you care, this might take you probably, for me, this is the fun part, and I love to spend a lot of time on this. So this is probably going to take me like 2 to 3 hours because I like to play around with the animations. And if you're not creating something in Canva and you're saying, hey, I want to do a reel, you might have to take some time to just make your Instagram reel, right? Or you might make some Instagram story content as a part of your content and creative development in Canva as well, because you can resize anything to be any size. So this can live on Instagram stories, it can live in your Instagram feed, and it's super easy to resize there as well. So once you
let's just talk about that resize feature for a minute, because the $13.95 a month that you spend on Canva for the pro version, this is why it's worth it. Yes. So when I make the graphic for the podcast, I make it as a LinkedIn size, 1200 by 1200, and then I resize it to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, website header, and YouTube. And all I have to do is create one graphic, and then I resize it, and it creates the other 5 graphics for me. $13.95 a month for a paid Canva account.
Yes, guys,
so worth it.
Invest in it, okay? Even if you only utilize one of the extra features, but it's worth it to me because the animation, the access to the photo library of stock photos too. If you're someone that you're like, I
Oh
don't have
yeah.
time to pay, or I don't have resources to
Yeah.
pay a photographer and have some styled shoot or
And
whatever.
and you don't have to pay for the stock photo that you would go to iStock and buy because they're there.
Yes. Yes. We used to have a deposit photo account that we would go and download photos for, and they would charge us per download. And it's like, okay, Canva Pro 13.95, and it's my graphic design tool and my library for stock photos. And there's even stock video. I mean, okay, this is not an advertisement for Canva. I am not sponsored. I have no code, but I'm a huge evangelist for Canva.
I am sponsored and I do have a code, and that code will be in the show notes.
Oh, come on, Candace. Yes, I love that. Okay. So we've gone into Canva, we've spent some time, we've made our Instagram reels, we've done whatever we needed to do, right? This is gonna take us 3 hours. So 3, 4, 5, 6. We're at 6 hours now. Then comes time for actually going and scheduling the content and actually implementing the content and spending time monitoring it over the course of these next 3 months, right? So, where we like to start, especially if we are just focusing on Facebook and Instagram, which really is kind of our bread and butter of what we're really not knowledgeable at Ugly Mug Marketing, we love using Creator Studio. Creator Studio allows you to take your post and schedule it on your Instagram account, or you can even do this in Meta, no longer Facebook, right? Meta Business Suite. But you can go in and schedule your posts for your page. You can see all of the performance. You can see it in a calendar view, so you can see which days you've actually scheduled out so far and compare that to your Google document where you have everything outlined. You can change the copy on Instagram versus what you have on Facebook. So you might just copy and paste the copy that you wrote in your Google account, or in your Google Doc, copy that into your Facebook post in the scheduling tool. But you might say, hey, I want to add hashtags, but I don't want the hashtags to be on Facebook because they're not really relevant there, but they're really important on Instagram. So then you can go and say, change post for Instagram, and you can go in and add those hashtags there. And that's a really great feature because you can tell when people are being intentional and when they're just trying to quickly get it done. You can tell when they're trying to quickly get it done because they post it on Instagram and immediately just copy and paste the whole thing, or say post the same thing on Facebook, because you're going to see all those hashtags that, again, are only relevant on Facebook. They're not relevant, or excuse me, only relevant on Instagram. They are not relevant on Facebook. So being able to toggle between the both of those and change the copy there is really important, and it's a great feature.
So I had to actually Google it because I didn't know that Creator Studio is the tool that you use. It's built by Meta to post to Facebook and Instagram. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And
It,
it's pretty nifty.
yeah,
There'll be a
it's
link to that in the show notes.
yes.
Wow.
I think it's so user friendly, and it's just like easy to see everything in one place. I love it.
So I use Canva to schedule my posts. I just use the scheduling tool within Canva. But I can see why Creator Studio would be important if that's, oh, you can even create a reel, upload a video. Interesting. Okay.
I love Creator Studio too because once your posts have already been posted, right? We want to see what's the engagement, what's actually working, what's sticking with people. And so going in there and being able to look at the data too, I think is really fun and helpful, because the thing about your strategy is that you can't just set it and forget it. We say the same thing for when you actually invest in running a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad or an ad of any sort on any of these social media platforms. We need to be monitoring, because we need to know if something's not working so that we can pivot our strategy as needed, right? So taking a look at that insights tab on the left hand side in Creator Studio, and being able to look at different benchmarks, being able to look at the performance of our stories, all of that fun stuff, that's going to be really, really helpful for us. I also love it too because it's a one-stop shop for being able to look at notifications, alerts, and updates, being able to look at my inbox, so any DMs that I've gotten on Instagram and DMs that I've gotten on Facebook. There's a ton of fun stuff, but I just really think that, like, the create, your reel or add to your story features, uploading the videos, uploading multiple videos, going live here. I think it's just a really nice user experience personally, coming here as opposed to just trying to navigate on your phone or just like navigating directly from your business page. And if you're someone who manages multiple pages, I think this is the easiest place too, because there's a lovely drop down at the top and I can just click and choose which page I want to look at and not have to go to the pages themselves. And so that's why for me, as someone who works with a bunch of different clients and businesses, that's why I really love this view as well.
Well, and I don't think you can do that with Canva. I think you have one page that you can post to.
Yeah.
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 So the difference is with Canva Scheduler, I don't have to download the images and then upload them. They just go. So I can see, there's pros and cons. But also Meta likes you to use their native. I mean, if you share a YouTube video to Facebook, Facebook doesn't like that. They want you to upload the video. So
Yeah.
I can see why this would be.
Yes, and there's one other feature that I want to talk about too. There's a button on the left hand side that says tools, and then if you click on post testing, you can create different versions of your post. So you can say, "Hey, I created 2 graphics for this. Actually, let me see which one my followers actually like to see." So there's really fun ways to easily do some A/B testing, which sounds fancy and like you're like, I don't know what that is. I'm not qualified to do that. It's so easy. Just create your 2 graphics in Canva and then upload them under this post testing section here. And you can see what is actually resonating with your audience, what they're actually stopping and looking at when they're scrolling mindlessly before they go to bed or when they wake up in the morning or when they're supposed to be working or during their lunch break, right? These are some of those key times that we can catch people on Facebook and Instagram.
Cool. All right. Okay, what else? What else you got? Keep training me.
That's really the bulk of what your day is going to be. So, that hour to hour and a half of planning out your content, selecting your categories, writing it out on the calendar so you can visually see and check things off. I am a list person. I love being like, hey, yep, I've got that one written. I've got this one written. These days are scheduled. Being able to physically go through and have that kind of checklist to be able to go through is so helpful for me. And again, just makes it feel less intimidating. Then once you've got those categories selected, actually picking the days and how many posts you're going to create per week, and then actually going into that document that we have already pre-built out for you with all of the days. So you can just write your copy in for every single Monday for all your Did You Know posts or all your product spotlight posts. Then going into Canva, which, hey, we've already ranted and raved about, and Candace has a code, so utilize that, okay? And creating the actual graphics to go along with it, or hey, we were just talking about testing out different graphics, so maybe you create two graphics for a couple of different posts so that you can see which one works better. And then actually going into Creator Studio and scheduling it. This is going to be how you create your 3 months of content in one day. And
what's
works.
Brilliant about this plan is you've scheduled all your posts, so you really don't have to be posting. You don't have to worry about it. And unless you're doing one organic post a week, which you probably should be doing. You should probably do one or 2 organic posts a week where you spontaneously post something on Instagram. Because it's those pictures of your cats that get the most people who like them. Cat pictures get the most likes, right? Yes. So if your coffee shop has a pet cat, you probably should be posting pictures of your pet cat.
It's funny you say that. There is a coffee shop. So I now live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and there's a coffee shop here. It's called like Perfect Something. And it is a cat coffee shop. You can bring your cat to this coffee shop.
I love it.
I personally do not have a cat. I'm not a huge cat person either. Ugh, more of a dog gal. But I'm like, for people that have cats, this is so fun. And they have great reviews. So the coffee is good.
It would make more sense if there were cats that live there already, because bringing a cat to a new environment would freak the cat out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are cats that are already there.
But that's a big thing in Asia. People love those cat cafes. So I can see where, I don't know.
We have our own cat cafe here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
In Western Michigan, every outdoor restaurant is dog friendly and they even serve your dog, right?
Yeah.
I have been to so many restaurants here in Western Michigan where we're eating outside and there's dogs around me, and the waiter or the waitress or the server brings out a bowl of water for the dogs, right? so so why not do it for the cats?
Yeah. Come on.
I love
You
it.
got to
I
be
love it. I love it.
fair.
I love it. Okay, so we've talked about the progression of turning strangers into friends, into customers, into evangelists. We've talked about intentional social media marketing and relationship building on social media. We've talked about how you love helping individuals and businesses build predictable marketing systems. What else do you want to talk about?
Gosh. I feel like one thing that goes along with social media, people think that once we've made the sale online, right? We've brought these strangers together, they like our page, they're engaging with our content, they bought it, or maybe we're still trying to get them to buy it. It's about their overall experience. Marketing is not just social media, it's not just the billboards and the advertisements that play on Spotify or Hulu or whatever. I know those are for the big dogs, right? That might not be for solopreneurs, but it's not just about how they feel connected with you on social. It's about how they feel when they're buying your product. It's about their journey of actually becoming a customer and their journey after they become a customer too. The marketing doesn't just happen on social media. It's also about the true relationship and selling and their overall experience too. And that is where you take people from customer to evangelist. So, two quick examples of ways that I feel there. One example is that an actual client that I work with. Another one is just a boutique that I follow. So Adeline Boutique is based out of, I believe, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I don't know. I follow them on social media. They have a private Facebook group where they're selling to their customers. And so in this private Facebook group, I noticed that a customer posted in the group, she was like, oh my gosh, Adeline sent me these cute earrings and wrote me a card and said, congratulations on your engagement. But how did Adeline Boutique know that this girl was engaged? They likely follow her back on social media. So often, we as business owners or solopreneurs are focused on getting our messaging out there. We forget the social part of social media. We forget that it doesn't really, yeah, it's great if we have 500 followers, but it's okay too if we're following 1,000 people. People get really hyper focused on that like to follower ratio. Okay. That's something easy for us to attach to, right? But the reality is we should be going out and following our customers. We should be going out and following our prospective customers, because you know what? The fact that they follow this girl who got engaged, who's probably only bought one thing from them and it was probably on sale. Look what happened there. She posted in there, she told other people, she shared with all these other customers and with her friends and family that Adeline Boutique had sent her these earrings. Her getting engaged had nothing to do with their product. It had nothing to do with their service or anything. They don't sell wedding dresses or anything like that, right? They just did that to build and further the relationship, to give her a remarkable experience even after she had bought, the $10 romper on clearance, which is so funny. She actually said, I bought a romper at their warehouse sale. So I'm imagining it was probably $10. But that one experience, that simple thing of sending her this pair of earrings that probably cost them all of $10, those are the kinds of experiences we need to be creating for our customers. And we don't have to do it for everyone. Adeline Boutique isn't sending that to every single person who's ever shopped with them, once they get engaged or have some milestone. But the fact they did it for that one person strengthens that relationship and now it has a ripple effect.
Well, Adeline Boutique was really smart to collect her mailing address ahead of time.
Well, yes, and it's because she had already shopped with them before.
Mhm.
So, hey, here's
It's
a customer that we follow.
it's so
We
important.
we have her address because she shopped online with us or, for the warehouse sale. So we already have her information. Why not? Why not just send her this gift? And it could have also, for those of you who are mailing something or you don't have the mailing address, you can send an email. You can send a DM. we can connect with our customers and our prospective customers. We don't just have to wait for them to come to our pages and interact with us. We should be going out and interacting with them too, even if their content and posts have nothing to do with us. And Adeline Boutique, kudos to them. I don't know who started Adeline Boutique or I don't know these people. They're not a client of ours, but I was just like, wow, I thought that was really remarkable. And that makes me want to shop with them more. I'm like, hey, they really care about the people that they're serving beyond a transaction.
So I want to put a link to Adeline Boutique in the show notes. Where are they located?
They're based in Louisiana.
In Louisiana. Okay.
Yeah.
There will be a link to them in the show notes because if we just spent 5 minutes talking about them,
yeah,
they're worthy of a link in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the other quick example that I have, I know we're running out of time here. I'm blabbering. Stop me, Candace.
No, this is all good stuff. You're not blabbering.
So one of our clients is an HVAC company in Alabama. And I literally was witnessing this happen in their DMs because I manage their page and run their advertisements. But essentially what had happened was they had a customer who had called in. The power had gone out. It was during the winter time, which still in Alabama, it gets chilly. Okay. I feel like it gets, 30 degrees. That's cold. Okay. I know for people who live in the Midwest or in the North or Michigan, you're like, oh, 30 degrees. That's nothing. But 30 degrees for people that live in Alabama is cold. And what had happened was this woman's electricity or her furnace had gone out. And so it was a weekend and she had called. The customer service representative picked up the phone and she connected with the technician that was on call for that weekend for emergency services. And the technician was like, hey, it's going to take me a little bit to get over there, probably a couple of hours. She said, no problem, but I'll let her know that you're on the way. But in the meantime, this customer service representative picked up some blankets and some hand warmers and drove to this woman's house and sat with her in the cold and in the dark in her home and waited for the technician to get there so that she wasn't alone and waiting for him. And I'm like, come on, people. Like, she didn't have to do that. She's not really working that day. She's just answering the phone. She's on call too, right? She didn't have to do that. She didn't have to go buy blankets. She didn't have to go to this customer's house. She didn't have to care so deeply, but she did. She did. And I think that it says a lot about that person, but I think it also says a lot about the company that this customer service rep felt empowered to be able to go and do that, or felt called to go and do that too. That says a lot I think, about the culture that they likely have within the organization as well. And so that was just another example of, man, she just went above and beyond. She just gave a remarkable experience. And you know what? Not only is this elderly woman going to rant and rave to her friends about what just happened, but also the son of this woman, who we later found out he got kind of wrangled into the mix here too, because the mom then told him. So then he was telling his friends and family, and now they're like ranting and raving about my client in Alabama. And again, ripple effect of word of mouth, ripple effect of referral that came from that for their business. And then we took that story and we said, hey, do we have permission to share this on social media? We want to brag on you, but we want to also brag on our employee. We didn't tell her to go and do that, but she just did it out of the goodness of her heart. And so these are ways that we create evangelists, but that we also take those stories and can share them on social, so that has an even bigger impact as well.
So you've used case studies or storytelling throughout this whole interview. And a lot of folks are like, I'm not a storyteller. I don't know how to tell stories. So stop thinking about them as stories and start thinking about them as case studies. Or vice versa. Stop thinking about them as case studies and start thinking about them as stories, because the storytelling is what attracts people to. And that's a great social media post too, or stories. Okay, we do it. We haven't been blathering on because all of this has been very helpful and very useful. And I'm learning. So I love it when I learn during an interview. But I do have one more question, and then we're going to need to wrap up. Yeah. So I forgot my question. I remember what it was. I remember what it was. At what point does someone who has been following your 3 months and 1 day system say, okay, it's time for me to stop doing this myself and hire Ugly Mug. At what point is that transition necessary?
Yeah, I think for some people, it becomes, hey, do I have the financial resources to invest in this? Or is my time better spent elsewhere? Or, hey, I've implemented this strategy, but maybe I haven't had the time to keep up with the data and information that I'm learning from it. And I haven't really had opportunities to pivot away from it or to make it better or improve upon it. That's typically when people start coming to us. They say, hey, I did this strategy. I believe in it. It's working. But I think now I'm at a point in my business where my time is better spent elsewhere, even though it's just a day. There is that maintenance, though, that comes with checking in and following up on DMs and engaging with people in the ways that we're talking about just a few moments ago. There is a level of time that comes with that too, right? And so it really becomes more of a time thing. So my clients at Little Cakes with Big Attitude, they were doing all their social themselves. They're like, hey, I'm in real time, baking this cupcake, or we're testing out different coffee ingredients or different coffee flavors. They can do this all in real time, right? But they're like, our time is actually better spent in the kitchen. Our time is actually better spent with our staff. Our time is actually better spent on figuring out what the next product for our business is, or if we're going to grow into a new market, or figuring out how to build an online store. Like, that's where our time is better spent, because that's why people hire us. We're saving them time. We're giving them a shortcut to results because we failed and failed and failed again on our own stuff. And now we're bringing the best of the best experience to our clients. We're building out strategies that actually convert, right? People don't want to just post a post. We want to create content that's going to convert people into customers and hopefully help us build evangelists too, right? And so that's when people find that transition of hiring us. It becomes a time thing. And hey, now I have the financial resources and I want to invest in order to create more space for myself.
Well, it's brilliant that you've given people a template to do it themselves. Because that freebie thing, that brings people in, and it builds the brand loyalty as well. Is, oh wow, they've given me this, so when I'm ready to invest, I'm going to go back to them because they gave me this resource.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, this is my favorite part of the interview. It's your moment of gratitude. For whom or what are you most grateful?
Yes. I love this question. I was kind of preparing. I was like, like what is it? I think for me, I have two things. So my faith and my husband. So and those things are very intertwined. I feel like my faith has brought myself through really challenging seasons of life and hardships, and it's brought our marriage and our relationship over the last 8 years through some really challenging seasons. And I think it's cool because we can kind of look back and, for us, we're like, wow, God was so faithful to us in those moments. Or gosh, you're getting out of the army and it's COVID and you don't have a job and no one's hiring, just really seeing the abundance and how faithful we were during that time and how faithful the Lord was to us. So I think I think too, I'm a firm believer that not all things are good, but all things can work together for good. I completely live by that. And as far as my husband is my constant. He's the steady, he's the level head in the relationship, and I'm grateful for the way that he takes care of us and is always dreaming of what the next thing is going to be for us. And because sometimes I'm like, I'm comfortable, like this is great. But he's the one that really forces me and challenges me to get out of my comfort zone a bit. And so I'm just really grateful for the faithfulness and goodness of God and for my husband, Wesley.
Thanks for joining us this week for Gratitude Geek, the relationship marketing podcast, helping micropreneurs find your micro influencer magic. Your time is valuable, and I am ever so grateful that you chose to spend your time with us today. Be sure to check the show notes at gratitudegeek.com, episode 136, for links to all the groovy resources mentioned today. And of course, to connect with Hannah Acosta and Ugly Mug Marketing and get those downloads so that you can do your own social media plan for 3 months in one day. And while you're there, why not subscribe to the show on Audible, iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast players? Our theme music is track 14 by Rev Brock and Soul Lily. I've been your host, Candace Rodarty. Join me on my mission to spread gratitude, sow seeds of appreciation, and harvest a bounty of generosity and kindness. Stay groovy, my friends.
Stay groovy, my friends.